of your favorite black creatives in Hollywood to discuss how they made it in the entertainment industry. And this week, we're speaking with Angel B. Curiel, most known for his role as Lil Poppy Evangelista on FX's groundbreaking drama series, Pose. The series is currently in its final season on the network. We asked Angel about his start as an actor and what influenced him to go down this path.
Well, I think on a subconscious level, deep within me that I didn't even know existed, I think I've always wanted to be an artist or a performer, particularly I think an actor, and I'll tell you why in a second. But I think when I first realized that I wanted to pursue it as a profession, I was maybe 17 years old. I was obviously still in high school, and I had no intentions of being an artist. Growing up in Miami, Liberty City, which I love that you got, Moonlight right behind you. So we repping already. No, but growing up, I didn't really have, or I didn't think I had a lot of choices. And I know I wanted to travel the world, and I wanted to see things outside of Liberty City, and I wanted to grow, I wanted to learn. And in my very young, very naive mind, I felt like I had to leave home in order to do that. Whereas now I'm an adult and I'm like, I want to go back to Liberty City and I want to grow and prosper there. Yeah. That's a completely different story. But 17, I'm in an Army recruitment office and I'm trying to enlist, right? Because I'm like, this is the way that I can go and travel and have these new experiences and grow and educate myself the way that I want to. I didn't really see school as a way for me to do that, just because I had been having a hard time in high school, and just trying to pass those classes and not necessarily feeling like I had, the right role models and teachers to sort of help me get through that, with the exception of one who was at first my English teacher, and we butted heads like a mofo because I was not the most ideal student. We'll say that to say the least. And I got to know her a little bit through that avenue as my English teacher, but I think we really bonded and connected when I ended up auditioning for the drama program, whom she was also the head of at my high school. And I had done, the plays and had a bunch of fun, but I never really saw it as an actual opportunity to make some money and do something for myself, so to speak. And then I got turned down from the Army because I had asthma. Go figure. Looking back at it now, I'm like, I'm so grateful for asthma right now, because I'd be in a completely different space. I wouldn't be the human being that I am today. Out for me. But I got turned down, and going back to school the next day, I wasn't my class clown type of self. And Miss Perkins, who was my English teacher and then drama teacher, caught an eye to that, and she approached me with a lot of love. And I told her, hey, this was my way out. This was my way of doing something. And now what the do I do? Yeah. I have no skill set. I don't think I'm smart. I'm not book smart. What do I do? And in a very much Miss Perkins way, very sternly, but with so much love, she sat me down and she said, sweetie, what you don't understand is that I see you doing more good in this life with a script in your hand than I do a rifle. And I repeat these words because they are my mantra nowadays, and I thank God every day for her and for those words, because it's what propelled me to say, okay, so what do I do with that? And she's like, let's find you audition material. Let's get these applications into these schools. These are a list of schools that are good for, theater and these ones, will give you more wiggle room if your academics aren't really there, which mine's weren't, but your ability to perform is there. And I was so grateful for her believing in me so much, right, at a point in my life where I didn't even really see that for myself, but she had this vision. She had this vision for me that I couldn't see, and it was because of that that I was able to clear my window, so to speak, and be able to see what she was seeing. And I said, all right, yeah, like, let's do it. Let's audition for these schools. Let's find monologues. I wanna try. At least I wanna try. And from there, I got a couple auditions for a couple of schools. I went to New York with a friend and her mom, and we auditioned like crazy kids in New York City. And I fell in love, man. I fell in love with the snow. I fell in love that it was dirty. I fell in love that, it felt like home. It felt like home off the rip. And I was like, I think I can do this. And then I got accepted into Pace University, though I later dropped out. Ooh. Go figure.
But it seems like things worked out. So
Yeah. I think everything has worked out how it was supposed to. So that's kind of that's that response. And then the other one was most recently I got reacquainted with my father that I didn't grow up with, and I went to go visit him in the Dominican Republic, and it was the most enriching experience I have ever encountered. And I wish that so many more, particularly Black and brown men, because I feel like, often not, because of history and the cards that we've been dealt with, for the most part, we're the ones that have been left without fathers, unfortunately, or parents in general. And so for me, I found it so healing to be able to go back home and look my father in the eye as a grown man and get to know him. And in turn get to know myself and what I'm capable of doing as far as forgiving and loving an individual who I feel like should have been there for me growing up. But one beautiful thing he did tell me was when we were separated, when I was in the Dominican Republic. I was like 7 years old before coming to the States with my mother. And he shared this beautiful story that as this little 7-year-old kid, I'm crying because obviously I don't want to let go of my father. And, he told me this beautiful thing that as a 7-year-old kid, I was saying, Daddy, don't worry. You don't have to cry. When I grow up, man, I'm going to be a big actor. I'm going to be a big actor. I'm going to come find you. And sure enough, I stumbled upon his Instagram page, wow. Well, like a year or two ago, by clicking on my own hashtag, because I'm kind of a junior, right? Like his name is Angel Curiel as well, but we have different last names. And so I ended up clicking on the hashtag, and I saw this old man who was working some cameras and stuff like that, and he looked identical to me. And I was wow. Like, I think this is like, I'm talking the same nose and everything. I was like, I think this is my dad. Wow. And sure enough, after I did some research, like he's a DP in the Dominican Republic. Like, how did we end up in the same occupation? Yeah. All this stuff. And, I was very hesitant, but my girlfriend, God bless her, was very encouraging and said, you should reach out. Just try, see what happens. And I did. We ended up communicating, and then I think like a month or two after, I flew to the Dominican Republic to go meet him, and then he told me that story.
Wow, that's a great story. In the odds that you would like be searching under your own hashtag and then coming across that and then finding out you're on the same industry is like wild. And I know that you've always been proud of, and you've been vocal about being an Afro-Latinx actor. And I want to know, because visibility for Afro-Latinx actors and actresses on screen has been kind of limited in history, and then when we have seen it on screen, it's kind of been pretty much the same thing. On screen, we're thinking about Latinx people being represented. So when was the first time that you remember watching TV and thinking that you're seeing yourself being authentically portrayed on screen?
I think the first time I saw myself, I had two moments. The first one was when I read Stephen Adly Gurgis's play, Jesus Hopped the A-Train. And there's this character who is Black Puerto Rican, if I'm not mistaken, or a Black Dominican. I think Puerto Rican. And it's this story about how, long story short, he tries to protect his friend, but then ends up in Rikers for it. And there was just this cultural understanding that helped me see myself in a completely different light, and it helped me, to be honest, believe that I can do this, right? Like, there is windows of opportunity, though they might be extremely slim, that there's a little gap that I might just be able to squeeze through and then push my elbows out and make it a little wider. And so for me, that was a big moment. But then there was also a moment after I told Miss Perkins about my experience getting turned down for the Army, and she showed me John Leguizamo's John Leguizamo's what was it, Freak one-man show. And that was the first time where I was like, oh, and here's this person like creating his own stuff on top of that as well. I can also do that. But I think another huge one most recently was also Moonlight, and seeing Mahershala, portray Juan, and seeing that in my hometown, and getting to experience like the place that I grew up, the place that I love, be represented in this beautiful light, with these beautiful characters telling these amazing stories that were raw, vulnerable, and honest. And I just remember that was like an additional just key in the engine, or key in the little thingy thing turning on the car type of vibes. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, nah, like I can go bigger. There's so much more that we can do, so that people can see themselves and feel themselves being represented more often, particularly for Black folks, particularly for Afro-Latinos, Latinx folks. There's the opportunities are there, but again, they're slim. And I think, there's a battle there that needs to be fought, and I think is being fought, right? Because I'm sure there's a lot of projects out there and a lot of folks and a lot of artists that are fighting to get projects greenlit, and they're in these predominantly white rooms, and they're being told, not really feeling that vibe. I don't really think it's global material. Yeah. Right? Because more often than not, global material that we think can resonate with everyone is predominantly white stories, or white faces on these screens. And so what I love about television right now that I'm seeing is that we're getting to see more pops of that, right? So we have shows like Vida, we have shows like Veneno, right? That are popping up on HBO Max. We have the show that I'm on right now, Pose, right? Look at our heroine. Our lead is a Black Latinx woman. You know what I'm saying? Blanca is a Black Latinx woman. That's like, that right there is like such a huge start and such a huge jump from where we were at, like 2-3 years ago, before Pose. And so I think the opportunities where I saw myself weren't very much or very constant, and they've popped up in little moments throughout my life that have helped continue this drive in me to keep saying, okay, no, there's little moments, there's little sprinkles here, but like a sprinkle ain't enough. I want the whole icing on the cupcake, and we gotta bake those cupcakes so that we can put that icing on that, but it's up to us. It's up to you and me. It's up to my castmates, that as we get these little foots in the door of this industry, all right, bet now we have some responsibility on our shoulders. I know for me, if I wait around my whole life for someone else to give me a job in this industry, I will never have the career that I long for.
Yeah, that's real.
So I got to make sure that as I continue to look for work, that that's not the only avenue I'm going through. I need to be finding ways to produce work for myself and for my people. I need to find ways to produce work and write it and create it so that we can keep getting these little tentacles out here and start, situating ourselves and grabbing onto the surface and letting people know that we have been here. We will always be here. We will continue to fight to show y'all that we have been here. And I think there's like this almost media revolution coming about where we're finally starting to recognize that. And again, that's why I love TV, because I feel like more than anything, they're putting dollars, behind Black and brown stories. And I think that's what's up.
This week's Black Entertainment Trivia Fact. On the iconic Black television series Martin, how many characters overall did Martin Lawrence play? 9, 10, or 6? Find out the answer next week on shadowanact.com. It's such a cool, full circle moment that John Leguizamo was one of these references that you had growing up, and you were able to star in his film last year, Critical Thinking. I have such a vivid memory about that because I was headed to South by Southwest and was so excited to see this film before the pandemic happened. Because that was the first big thing that got canceled, and we're like, okay, it's gonna come back up in September. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And then we're still like, now we're talking via Zoom. Yeah. But I felt that's such a cool moment that you have that person that you look at and so, okay, this could be me. This looks like me, and you're able to work with him.
Yeah. I know it just felt full circle. I remember one of the first things I did when I touched base in Miami, I went and had lunch with Miss Perkins, because I knew it was like this surreal moment. There were often times growing up where, looking back on it now, I was like, man, I'm not even supposed to be alive right now, let alone coming back to Liberty City to shoot a film with somebody that helped me visualize a story for myself, a vision for myself, and to make this, instill this drive in me to make me go and want more and chase more for myself. And so it was definitely a full circle moment, to leave Liberty City, go to New York, hustle for a couple years, and then out of nowhere be given this gift of saying, hey, like, it's all right to take a breather and give yourself a pat on the back, go back home and do some work there so you could recognize the work that you've done. Because I think oftentimes when you're in the grind and when you're in the hustle, you don't give yourself your flowers, which was a conversation, funny enough, I was having with somebody this morning. And I was just sharing how, sometimes I feel uncomfortable doing these things because I look at myself and I'm like, I'm no one. I'm just somebody here that's just trying to make a life for myself and, help contribute to my mother and my sister who are still living in Liberty City, right? Like, I want to uplift everyone that I can as I'm doing this thing. And until I feel like I've contributed enough to the people around me that I feel like have supported me since day one, then I'm still in the grind. I'm still, I'm locked in, I'm focused. And so she was just expressing, this morning, saying that, no, like, often when we're in the grind, we don't give ourselves, that proper flower of saying, you've worked hard and it's okay. And I think, to piece it back together, I guess this is kind of like a flower, is the fact that we're having this conversation because of the work that I put in. And though I may feel like I'm no one to be sharing anything with anyone, that it's okay to sort of breathe and say, nah, you can enjoy a conversation with Trey about the work that you've done thus far, though you feel like there's so much more to do.
Yeah. And we are in the bittersweet final season of Pose, and thinking about this journey that we've been on, Did you think that your character, Lil Poppy, would be such a breakout star? You know, we saw Lil Poppy in season 1, but then season 2, we got so much more. And in this front burner storyline, you know, did you think when you first signed onto the show that, you know, the fans would respond like this? And do you think, like, you know, the fan response and people just, you know, supporting you and the character could have possibly even led to you having so much more to do on the show in general as we're in this final season?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't think I was gonna make it this long. I'll be honest with you, Trey. I didn't think I was supposed to be here this long. I didn't think I was supposed to make it past season 1. When I first got booked and signed on to do Pose, they booked me as a reoccurring. So in my head, I'm like, all right, bet I'll do like three episodes or something like that, and then they'll do, you know, my exit, and that'll be that, and it'll be a great opening experience for me to get my foot in the door and try and get more work after that. And man, I'll say this. And I remember, you know, I think like around episode 3 or something like that, I was in MJ's trailer, MJ Rodriguez, who plays Blanca. And I was in her trailer and I was just fucking crying. I was crying because I was like, I want to do more, you know, I want to be a bigger part of this. Like, I want to, you know, and I think that was just coming from a place of like, man, I love it here. Like, I feel safe here. Like, these are my people. Like, I can't imagine like being on any other set right now because I feel so at home with y'all. I don't want to go. And I kid you not, I think around the next episode 4 of season 1, I got that call from my rep saying, Ryan Murphy wants to upgrade you to a series regular. And I said, what does that mean? What is a series regular? I didn't even know what that meant. And they were like, it means you're employed and you'll get to stay on the show. And I said, that is amazing. And literally, I think I was in a van with MJ going to set, and I was just like, she was the number one. Like, I was just in your trailer crying to you and, you know, about wanting to stay and wanting to be here and do this thing with y'all because it's fucking amazing. And I feel like I'm at home here. So why not have her be the first person I share that with? And I did. And, you know, I think that was a blessing because after that, I believe Steven was the first one. Steven Canals, the co-creator of Pose, was the first one to let me know after I got upgraded to a series regular. And he was like, and don't worry, we, you know, since we kept you, we got a strong little episode for you in 7 where you get to showcase, you know, some more of your work and of your talent. And episode 7 came around, which is that episode where I get booted out of the house because Blanca catches Poppy selling drugs. And I remember doing that, and I forget when or how, but just hearing from Ryan saying, like, this kid has something, like, we have to give him more season 2. And when I heard that, I was like, I'm gonna be okay. You know, the journey is just starting and there's so much work to be done, but the fact that there's people out here that believe in me and want to see me do some more, I think I'll be okay. And so that was the first time I realized I think I'm gonna be here for a while. And that was really, really refreshing. And then as far as the interactions from the folks that watch the show, that I think that was just the icing on the cake. You know, that's like the love that people were able to see and the work that I was putting into this character that people didn't take for granted, made me want to hustle and work so much harder. And I think is a part of the reason why sometimes I am extremely hard on myself as an actor, and I always want to do more and I always want to do better. And I always want to make, you know, I'll see myself and I have a hard time because I was like, man, you should have took this avenue, or there was this choice you could have taken, and why didn't you do this? And, you know, it goes back to like stepping back and receiving your own flowers. But I appreciate the love from the fans because, you know, at best, it makes me work harder.
Yeah. What do you hope the legacy of Pose is after this final season. You know, in particular, I know that your storyline, the storyline between Lil Poppy and Angel has been so groundbreaking, and you know, serves just for representation, just like something we've not really seen before on television. And I think it's just a moment in time. It's a moment in television history, and I think it'll be, you know, we're gonna look back, and you know, I think that Pose should have gotten more flowers that it has been. You know, it's a shame that MJ didn't get an Emmy nom for the first few seasons of the show. It's a lot that we could talk about in that regard.
Yeah, she carries the whole show.
Yeah,
the whole show.
It's hard when you talk about, you know, the success of the show and then not honoring the person who's like at the center of that.
Who's the glue?
Yes. But overall, what do you hope, as an actor on the show, that the legacy of this powerful drama series is?
Well, I think for me, speaking from a very personal space, and knowing how this has opened up so many conversations back home with my family and my friends, you know, and not just them, but it gave me the opportunity to grow and learn in places I didn't know I needed growing and learning in, right? And so for me, the legacy I hope it instills is like, I hope it creates moments where a young man, well, I'll set this up in this way. The show Pose is very Black, very brown, very queer, and very trans, right? And so for me, growing up in Liberty City, not knowing, you know, what the vocabulary word of being trans means, let alone the trauma that's instilled behind being trans or queer or Black or brown, right? And we can go on all day about that. But I hope what the legacy it leaves is like, where a young man like myself, who was very uninformed about these stories and about these lives, clicking the TV on, going through channels, stopping all that FX, seeing themselves in me or in Poppy, and saying, "Oh, what this kid doing? Is he? Oh, that's not bad. Is it? Oh, he like this girl. Oh, but she trans, but he don't care. Oh, damn, that's a nice scene. Oh, they love each other. Yeah, I guess that's cool." And then turns the TV off, and now he just has this different insight. You know what I'm saying? That when he goes to his friends and his friends start cracking on a girl because she's trans, they said, "Nah, man, I don't know about that, bro. Yanni, you should watch this show." You know, and in hopes that Poppy and Angel storyline is just the gateway for these young men just like me to be able to do then the work of going from that storyline and putting and fixing their eyes on the story that really matters, which is the story of these 5 black and brown trans women and femmes, and seeing their stories and hearing their traumas and understanding that we all need to be and play a part in uplifting these women. You understand? Because it's like, nobody out here can do that shit by themselves. You know, and more often than not, when these women are being harmed, when these women are being murdered, is oftentimes at hands of men who are too ashamed to say that they're with them. And somebody finds out and they're like, you know what I'm saying? And then because we have this concept of toxic masculinity that men feel like, nah, bro, like I'm a man, I'm gonna show you, you know what I'm saying? That I'm not with that, you know, that I hope that watching that Angel and Poppy storyline can just at least bring somebody who's open-minded enough to take a look at that story, reassess some things in their own method of thinking. and then share that love with his friends and his family.
Angel talked to us about landing his role in Pose, representation for Afro-Latinx actors, and he also shared very personal stories about events in his life that made him the person he is today. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Opening Act with Angel B. Curiel. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating and leave us a review on places like Apple Podcasts or wherever you download this podcast. You can watch this interview in full, as well as watch exclusive content on lunchtable.com. Create an account and sign up, and there you'll see lots of Shy Don't Act programming, such as Reel It Back and Shy Don't Act Live. Until next time.